In the average lifetime, you will see over 10 million faces. You'll exchange a brief hello or a nod with around 80,000 of them, and you'll have a genuinely meaningful conversation with less than 5,000 of them. Which means if you live till around 80, you might only have one meaningful conversation a week. And that's strange to think about, because every single person you walk past has an entire life you know nothing about. So I decided to stop walking past them. But before we get to that, I should probably explain why I went looking. When you're a kid, you dream of doing everything. 1 week you're going to play for Man United, then you're going to be the next Picasso, then you're writing books, making films, becoming a chef, studying physics. And out of all of those ridiculous dreams, one of them became real: filmmaking. But when your dream also becomes your career, it's very easy to lose that spark. You spend all of your creative energy on projects for everyone else, with nothing left for yourself. I mean, I used to dream of making films. I looked up to people like Wong Kar-wai and Stanley Kubrick. And, well, now I make social content for companies who openly tell me that they'll replace me with AI as soon as they can. But as much as I love to moan, sitting in my bedroom waiting for inspiration to hit me was a losing battle. I wasn't coming up with any new ideas, and a film about a Deliveroo driver wasn't really exciting. So I left. The idea was simple: a week away exploring one of my favourite places in the world. But this time I wasn't going to go there to make a film. I was going there to collect experiences, conversations, moments to get me inspired again. So I gave myself 2 rules. 1, I was going to speak to as many strangers as I could. And 2, I would sketch as much as possible without worrying how rubbish it probably is. Which was a pretty big deal for me, because I haven't really done any proper sketching since I was a kid, let alone doing it in public and live. But I wanted to challenge myself and my perfectionist ways. The first stop was Matera. And Matera was a beautiful city full of life, texture, green doors and artists. I was able to film loads of them, but one I'll remember the most is Gianni. Now Gianni was a leatherman working in Matera, who kindly let me come around his shop and film him for a bit. And I was really enjoying it. He was really talented at what he did. But then he said this to me.
On computers, how you call this?
Edit?
Editing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh really? That's actually basically my job.
My passion.
Yeah, editing's your passion. That is so funny. It turns out that this guy has travelled across Africa to Haiti to India, and he's made his own documentaries just off his own back because he loves it.
For me, travel is like freedom.
Yeah.
Yes, because I go in another dimension, head dimension.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And when I travel, I am free pet trade. I don't have time to,
Yeah.
just I am free. And
Somehow a random leatherman in Italy was able to sum up the main reason I was on this trip without even knowing me. And that this was just the first day. The next stop was Alberobello, and somewhere between the beautiful trolley, I met so many strangers. A stonemason who spent over 20 years mastering his craft. That guy on the left, he ran a bar and let me try all of the local craft beers. I met these 2 who have been mates since school and are still going on holiday together. I met this geezer who I promised said yes when I asked if I could film him. I thought the World Cup would be some universal talking point. It wasn't. I spoke to a chef who told me he's been up since 4 in the morning making the croissant that I was eating. My final destination was Monopoly, where I spent the mornings chatting to the local fishermen. Most of them have been doing this for their whole lives, and this one geezer here comes here practically every morning to get his fish for dinner. I then met a guy who used to be a fisherman but is now a painter, and he does most of his artwork on old fishing nets. This guy didn't speak a word of English, but he looked so cool just sitting there smoking. And this street, this is where I saw an American couple for the 3rd time. Yeah, that stonemason back in Alberobello, I saw them there, and before that in a restaurant in Matera where I drew them without them knowing. And when we said hello for the 3rd time, they invited me out for drinks. And honestly, it was probably the most fun I had on the whole trip. Somehow we found this street party thing where there was just loads of people dancing, singing, drinking beer. It was unbelievable. And then they started telling me how they were on their honeymoon. I got to hear all about how they met, their lives. I even got a little drunken pep talk about how one day I'll also find true love just like them. Which was funny because the next day, no, I'm joking, I didn't find true love, but I did meet. I met her at this bar here, and Grace was one of those rare people who just seemed to have designed her life around curiosity, not comfort. She's from Greece, but she's lived in Australia, London, America, and now she's just moved to Copenhagen. And she went there with no job waiting for her, no plans, but just because she liked the city. She just followed her curiosity and figured things out along the way. So I took a page out of her book and found myself in a little town known for its famous ceramics. I was lucky enough to get a tour of this beautiful ceramics factory, which is run by an 18th century ceramist called Nicola Fasano. It was genuinely incredible to see how much effort and craftsmanship from multiple people all goes into one single object. It's funny how a completely different art form to your own can inspire you so much. I mean, I went in there thinking I'd just admire the incredible ceramics, but I came away from it with ideas for films and art pieces that I want to make. And just like that, my trip to Italy had come to an end. And unfortunately, I hadn't come back with the next Good Will Hunting script written and ready to go. But for some reason, that didn't really matter to me anymore. I started looking back through everything I'd collected, and I realised that the 2 rules I'd given myself actually sort of worked. I got to speak to so many strangers and learn loads about different people's lives and art and careers, and the sketching forced me to really slow down and notice all the little details around me. And I mean, half of the sketches were absolute dog shite, but I did really enjoy it. Good ideas come to you like sparks, and if you spend all day waiting for them, they'll eventually appear. That's why Aaron Sorkin takes like 10 showers a day, right? But where do those ideas actually come from? I think they come from everything you collect over time. Fragments of texture, architecture, food, design, craftsmanship, conversations, people. So when you're standing in the shower, the colour of that tile reminds you of a flat in Monopoly, which reminds you of the first time you wore your favourite shirt, which reminds you of the drinks you had that night in that shirt, which reminds you of the girl who kept saying "low in the morn" instead of "mowing the lawn." And suddenly you're back at your desk writing a character who says "low in the morn," all because of a stupid tile in a stupid shower. And that's what I realised I was collecting in Italy. Not just drawings and not just random conversations. pieces of a puzzle. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe inspiration can find you in your bedroom. You just need to collect enough pieces to start putting that puzzle together.